Oh, hey Kelly, what's up?
Meet me in the playroom in 15 minutes.
Red. Red, 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 red.
This is how we live. This is how we live. Rich, James, and love. This is what we live. This is what.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Review It. I'm Kelly.
I'm James.
And today we are here to review
50 Shades of Grey. It's been a long time coming.
Yes, we were pretty excited for this one.
Yeah, you were excited.
Don't be a hater. Alright, if we're in a different position, the camera ran out of memory.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh well.
So, yeah. Anyways, 50 Shades of Grey, if you don't know what it is a movie that is based on a book series called 50 Shades of Grey, which is based off of Twilight fan fiction, so it was turned into a novel later. And it's basically like a contemporary, like, love story, but it's like a dark love story with this guy who's all into the BDSM stuff, and then you got this innocent, shy, awkward girl who gets involved with this guy,
Bella.
and just things implode from there. So, yeah, basically.
Yeah, so that's what you're looking at with this movie. This movie's generated a lot of controversy. Let's just get right out the gate right now and say that any of the controversy you're hearing, if people are saying it promotes BDSM and beating up people, like abusive relationships, that's not true. The girl consents to every single thing that is in here.
She says yes. He has a stop word, which is red, and she can say red and he will stop everything he's doing. Yeah. She can say no. There was a part in the movie where she did say no and he didn't touch her.
Right.
So exactly. This is not rape. This is not domestic violence. This is solely based on BDSM and what it is. Yeah. So if you have not seen the movie, I don't want to hear your controversy.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the movie, and I'm sure that a lot of these people who are running their mouths have not seen the movie. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not necessarily defending this movie because, you know, it is...
It's still a weird topic to watch.
And it's a very touchy subject, and it's kind of uncomfortable to watch at times. But if you haven't seen it or you haven't read it, don't say anything. Like, don't spout your mouth off as if you know everything that's going on. Because
it's just not that. I don't know what the book... neither one of us have completely read the book.
I haven't even.
So we have no idea if that's what happens in the book.
Yeah.
However, it's not what happens in the movie, and we're here to talk about the movie.
Right. We are talking strictly about the movie. So, you can start with pros.
Alright, well, my first pro is the acting. I thought the acting was really good, especially for these parts. Like, obviously it was a Twilight fan fiction, so things are relate to Twilight a little bit. Yeah. And I feel like this was a better version of Twilight almost because of the actors. The actors were so good and did so well with the parts that they were given. Yeah,
I agree. I hated all the Twilight movies, of course. I mean... I think they're awful. Not just because that was the fan thing, the crazy teen thing. It's simply because those were just poor movies. And, you know, I don't love 50 Shades of Grey, or it's hard to even say that I like it. But it was better. It's better than Twilight. I think, guys, if you're going to go see this, you're probably not going to suffer as much as you would Twilight. Simply because, one, it's rated R and there's nudity. Now, not to say all of it is very good. I mean, it's a lot of this going on.
A lot of hair going on.
A lot of hair going on, but not on the face.
Some people need to use some razors.
Yeah, somebody needs some Gillette Pro Slider thing.
And that camera quality just makes it a whole lot worse. Because you can see everything.
Yeah, there's some shots in this movie that's like, oh, okay. But anyway, so if you're a guy, you're probably not going to suffer in this movie so much as if you would if you were watching Twilight, because Twilight is just two pieces of cardboard, man. That's all that movie is. It's just two pieces of cardboard going at it. 50 Shades of Grey, you have Jamie Dornan as Christian Grey and Dakota Johnson, I believe her name is, as Anastasia. And sure, you know, they're newcomers as far as I know, and they do a pretty good job with the roles here, even though the characters themselves are essentially carbon copies of Twilight characters.
Oh yeah. If you've read Twilight, you're gonna be like, Twilight, Twilight, Twilight. This is all Twilight. Yeah. Serious. I mean, just be prepared for that because it is what you're gonna do.
Right. It's you can tell what's Twilight and what's not, even though. What I said about you can tell what's not Twilight, there really is none of that. It's all Twilight.
BDSM.
It's Twilight with BDSM and rated R.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Nudity.
And boobs. That's all it is. Yeah, the two main characters have a good bit of chemistry. I'll give them that, which is much more than Bella and Edward had in the Twilight movies.
It's funny because I feel like you can't talk about 50 Shades without talking about Twilight.
Yeah, it's
like
impossible.
it's just impossible. You can't do it. But
yeah,
these characters absolutely had chemistry. It was fantastic chemistry. I think that's what helped so much with the film.
Yeah, I mean, they're not like the next, you know, best on-screen couple of all time. I mean, they're okay, but they have more chemistry than what this story came from, you know. And we were talking about it after the movie, and we had a lot of disagreements about comparing it to Twilight. But yeah, you're right. Like, there's no way you can talk about this movie without comparing it to Twilight. And even though I've only seen the first Twilight movie, and I've read the first 2 books because everybody was interested in it, so I was like, what's it about? Other than that, yeah, I could tell certain things were straight from Twilight.
Well, I mean, I literally sat there. I was like, how did they make this without copyright issues? It really is a lot. But anyway, we'll get off that subject as much as we can.
That's another topic for another day.
What was my next pro?
I don't know. Story?
Okay. Oh. So my next pro is I thought the plot was actually really interesting, which I started reading the book and I couldn't get into it. So to watch this movie and be intrigued by the storyline outside of the BDSM, just the story that is going on, was so interesting. I really enjoyed it. So I thought that was a good thing. Yeah.
The plot was okay, but I'll get more into that when we get to the negative part, because I do have more negatives than you. Although our ratings are pretty similar.
Yeah, like, they're close.
Yeah, I just had more problems than you did.
The only other thing I want to say positive, because I think he's out of positives on this.
Done.
So the only other thing I'm going to say is, you go into this movie expecting basically a porno on the screen.
Yeah, that's what we expected.
Yeah, and while there is sex, it is a rated R movie. If you are under 18, you do not need to go see this movie. You probably don't want to go see this with family, because it's going to be awkward for you. But I feel like the sexual content of it was a lot less harsh than I expected, and I could almost tolerate it. There was only one scene that was just kind of really awkward as far as everything, and then the rest was it was just tolerable. I could deal with it. So I thought that was a good thing. I wasn't prepared to watch a porno with all my friends.
I kind of disagree there. This movie is very, it's not as bad as some of the stuff you'd find on the internet, that's for sure, but you're towing a line with this movie, so be careful who you see this with.
You have to be prepared to go into it, and I think we were very mentally prepared for what was going to happen.
Yeah, and probably the reason why you didn't think it was that bad is because we expected so much worse. Like, we expected
really
this movie to be really bad.
We kept saying honestly, we're going into a porn.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think the sex in the movie was, not that bad. I think it was bad. But it was not as bad as some other movies have done it, I guess.
No.
Like, there are movies out there that are way worse.
You're going to see a lot of boobs. Get prepared for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of boobs. Well, it's the same pair of boobs.
But you're going to see them a lot.
You're going to see them a lot.
Anyways, let's pop on to the negatives. I'll let James start this one off.
Okay, first big negative. And one is the length. But see, this main problem comes from the fact that the movie is so long. No pun intended. So about an hour and 20 minutes in the movie, there's a point where Anastasia and Christian argue about how they can't have a very intimate relationship, a real relationship. Well, 40 minutes later and 5 sex scenes later, they have the same argument. So it really feels like there wasn't a lot of character growth going on. It feels like they're saving all of it for a sequel. I don't know if the books do it like this, but it just felt like they were saving so much. And I'm sorry, but that's not how you need to do movies. That's just not how it works. Even if that's how the books did it, you don't need to do it that way. It's not fair, because we kind of have a system with how we review movies. I am more prone to give reviews that would go to the casual moviegoer. The person who hasn't read the books, the person who's just going in for a fresh experience. You, on the other hand, are doing your reviews are more
book oriented when it's a book to movie adaptation.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, it's kind of like, even if the books may have done it just like this movie, that does not mean the movie needed to do it too, because it needs to have more growth in there to actually feel like a standalone feature. I understand it's based off a book, but movies and books are two completely different mediums, and you need to be able to give enough in that first movie to get people to want to come back. And I mean, yeah, I'll see 2 and 3 simply because I saw the first one, but I feel like there just wasn't enough there to make this movie feel like it was significant. It felt like it was too dependent on the second and third one.
And see, the only part I really disagree with is the character growth. I felt like there was character growth because Anastasia starts as this very weak, link, I'm not going to defend myself, kind of shy person, and she grows to the point that she's able to stick up for herself, which I thought was good. And you kind of see a change in Christian as well with his emotions and how he feels. So I feel like they did develop, probably not in a drastic way, but they did develop over the film.
I mean, I'm not saying there was any growth. I'm saying that it just wasn't enough. Like, there should have been just a little bit more. And if you had done a little bit more, it would have been just, it would have made me more interested in the sequel.
Right. And it's probably because there's going to be sequels. So, I mean, it makes perfect sense you saying that.
Yeah, they knew they were getting sequels out of this movie from the get-go. So they wrote the script for this movie intending to flesh it all out in sequels. But I don't like that. I feel like you need to give enough in each installment to make them feel complete and not so dependent on the next one.
And that's where we're different. Yeah. I like getting sequels. He wants a solid, rounded movie.
No, I like sequels too. It's just I feel like each installment needs to have enough to make you want to come back. Out. Yeah. Like I love sequels if it's done right and if it's for the correct movie. But I just feel like in order for me to care about a sequel, I need to have enough in that first one or that previous one.
Right.
And 50 Shades just didn't do it for me. But I will go see 2 and 3 because I am somewhat interested in seeing how this all plays out. I wish there was a little bit more. But other than that, I mean, it just kind of felt like the movie is 2 hours. It is 2 full hours of stuff. Now, if it had been 2 hours and there was more in those 2 hours to build those characters up for me to really care about them more than I already do, it would have been really good. Like, we'd probably have the same rating.
Yeah.
If it just had more in that 2 hours than what happened.
Or else it was cut, if it was cut down a little bit. Like
cut it down a little bit or just change out some of the scenes that were in here. And, you know, take pieces from 2 and 3 if you can and put them in here. If they had done that instead of just, 2 hours of, having a 2-hour movie where only about an hour of it really, really matters. If you would put in switch out 30 minutes of the useless material, put in 30 minutes of stuff that works, and this movie would have been really good, honestly.
Well, I think the only con that I would say is there were some moments that were so cheesy that I was like cringing. I was like, I can't even handle watching it because of the moment. But that, that's bound to happen in a movie like this, so that wasn't, it didn't kill me too much. But one thing I didn't even say that I really, really enjoyed, that was a huge pro for me, was the ending. I thought the ending was so impacting. I don't know why, but I just loved the way it kind of ends in a way that it begins, and I loved it. That was so good. Yeah,
it was a nice callback and a nice little cliffhanger, I guess, but okay, I'll get off of that whole thing. But some of the dialogue, man, is so bad. Oh gosh. Like, I can't even imagine reading the book because I've heard it's so much worse than the movie. Yeah,
there's definitely, which I have not read the whole book, so I'm not going to judge the book. But
I'm not going to say that the dialogue in this movie was the worst I've ever heard, but it was bad. I mean, there are just some things that just make you laugh at how bad it is. And it's not like they're trying to make you laugh. It's like they're trying to be very serious, and they say stuff, and it just doesn't work. Oh, God. It's just gross. It doesn't work.
And that didn't bother me as much as it did him. Like, I thought a lot of those lines were funny.
Some of the most serious parts of the movie, I was cracking up. I did have a fun game, though. Whenever Christian Grey would say something very weird or very alarming, I would count out the red flags.
He got quite a few red flags.
I got to like 50. Yeah.
So I think that's really our pros and cons. So obviously he had a little bit more cons than I did. But overall, in my opinion, this was a very enjoyable movie. Like, it was a fun watch for me. It wasn't like a serious dive into intellectually fulfilling movie. But it was just fun, and there was a lot of moments where I was cracking up. Like, some stuff was not very serious. Like, I just enjoyed the movie as a whole. So
yeah, it had its moments. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I was expecting an abysmally bad movie, but honestly, it's all right. So let's get to the rating. You go first.
Well, my rating is going to be it's worth the price of admission, especially if you've read the books and you really want to see the movie. So that's a 4 out of 5 stars.
Alright, I'm going to go with it's not terrible, it's not great, it's just K. That's essentially a 3 out of 5. Yeah, like, about halfway through the movie I was like, this is probably a 2. But then I thought, this movie is not as bad as Jupiter Ascending.
Yeah.
Which is what I gave it 2.
Right.
So, I had to give it a 3. Like, the movie was a little bit better than Jupiter Ascending, so I had to give it higher. But yeah, you know, 50 Shades, it's not terrible.
I mean, there is absolutely no reason to be so much controversy on it.
It's all overblown. It's stupid.
Yeah, there's just so much.
The more I think about it, maybe it was a good idea that Kingsman came out this weekend, because if you haven't seen that, there is some controversial crap in there that if people see that, it's going to be crazy. Mm-hmm. But see, people won't see that because they're all too wrapped up in 50 Shades of Grey.
Well, and he did a review on Kingsman, so if you would like to see that,
go check that out.
We'll link it down below so you can go check that out. But I believe that is all we have for this video. So we will see you guys in the next video we put up, which is going to be like a mini review type video. So we'll explain that more in the next video. Yeah, next week we have just a couple movies. Probably won't get to all of them. I think we have 3. We have The Duff. The Duff, which we will be doing. Another book to movie adaptation. We will be seeing The Duff. That is for sure. Mm-hmm. You can check that one out next Friday or next Saturday, whenever. It will be here for sure. The Duff will be for sure. Hot Tub Time Machine 2 comes out. I don't know about that movie. I like the first one. May not see the second one. I don't know. We also have McFarlane USA, which is a movie about the Kevin Costner's in it, and it's like the track movie. You remember when we saw Jupiter Ascending? Yeah. Yeah, that comes out this weekend too. We don't know about that one. So you can definitely expect to see a review on The Duff. Other 2 movies, don't know yet. We'll get back to that. Yep. So, reckon we will see you in our next video. Yep. Bye!